Friends and family of the victims want answers. Their frustration clear.
I want to see the people who are accountable be crucified in the public eye.
How could Elizabeth Wettlaufer's crimes go unchecked and unnoticed for a decade?
No one would have suspected any type of foul play at all.
And almost immediately came the bombshells. Documents reveal that Elizabeth Wettlaufer, or Parker as she was then known, was a problem from the moment she became a nurse in 1995. Fired from her first nursing job for stealing, then overdosing on narcotics. The nurses' union intervened, and the firing was reduced to a voluntary resignation. By 2007, Wettlaufer was working here at the Crescent Care facility in Woodstock, Ontario. She would later admit to killing 7 patients there, all with massive doses of insulin. Documents show Crescent Care reprimanded or suspended Wettlaufer 9 times for a litany of medical errors, patient abuse, and incompetence, until finally the facility fired her in 2014. But once again, the Ontario Nurses Association, Wettlaufer's union, intervened on her behalf. Her firing was again called a voluntary resignation, and Crescent Care, well, they agreed to give Wettlaufer a glowing letter of reference and $2,000 in damages. The care facility did report Wettlaufer to the College of Nurses of Ontario, but the licensing body took weeks to look into the matter and in the end decided to take no action. By then, Wettlaufer was already caring for the sick and elderly again, this time at Meadow Park Care Facility in London, Ontario. That's where she has since admitted to killing 75-year-old Arpad Horvath. Laura Jackson was a friend of one of Wettlaufer's 8 victims. She says the system failed them all.
It not only failed, it fell apart. And that's what put us in this position. We have to realize that we're the next ones going in. These people that are doing this inquiry, they're the next wave of people going into the nursing homes. So let's hope we get some serious change.
Wettlaufer went on to try to kill 2 more patients at other jobs as well.
Every time I walked in after somebody who passed away, I always wondered, is this day I'm going to get caught?
Finally, in 2016, she confessed to police that she'd been on a decade-long run of crimes against the elderly. Another place where the system may have failed. On at least 2 occasions, the local coroner was told a patient's death may not have been natural, yet no autopsies were ever performed. John Lancaster, CBC News, St. Thomas, Ontario.
These documents raise questions about the conduct of, among others, the Nurses Association of Ontario, but they told us they won't be answering any of those questions today, though they are expected to speak at the inquiry. Jay Meadis is a lawyer with the Advocacy Centre for the Elderly and is at this inquiry representing long-term care residents. As you look through these documents, what is most striking to you?
Well, I think what's most striking is the number of places where things could have been done better, but things went wrong. There wasn't enough oversight of Ms. Wettlaufer in the home. The college was not giving the proper discipline. There were issues in the information that was going between homes when she changed jobs. And we see the coroner not investigating deaths in long-term care that should have been investigated.
And many of these agencies, of course, their raison d'etre, especially, for example, the coroners and the college, are to be investigating problems like this. So what lessons do you see here?
Well, I think the lessons that we see are that you have to treat the elderly with respect. You have to not just assume that they're old, so they're going to die in long-term care, so we don't need to do anything. If there are issues, you need to bring them to the proper people, to the coroner. The police need to investigate. They need to do those jobs in order to protect the very vulnerable residents that live there.
This is, of course, a rare circumstance, but if there were to be someone like Wettlaufer again in these homes, do you think changes have been made to protect seniors, or could this happen again?
Well, I think that's what this inquiry is going to look at, and I think that I don't know that changes have been made yet. I think that that's what the whole point of the inquiry is, to make sure that we do make the right changes so that we are protecting all the vulnerable citizens. There's 78,000 of them in Ontario living in long-term care homes.
Jay Meadis, thank you very much.
Thank you.